got our guest here today. His name's Mark Dowdle. He can introduce himself here in a little bit, but I'm super excited because most of you guys don't know Mark. We didn't have him here last year. He's a brand new guest for us, which is awesome. I could probably spend, and Turner knows this, probably at least an hour or two, I feel like, talking about stories about this guy over here. But I don't have, several hours. But what I'll maybe just quickly say is two things. One, Mark is probably, and he doesn't know what I'm going to say here, but he's probably one of the best athletes, probably top 5 athlete I've ever been around. Right? Played both lacrosse and football at an extremely kind of high level, and has done a number of things kind of post-collegiately that he might get into today that are even more impressive than that. So when he's watching practice, where you're running out there, like he was you, right, doing what you've done out there, right, grinding, right, trying to get better. So that's probably part one. I think, part two is while he's probably a top, 5 athlete I've been around, he's probably a top 5 person. And I think you'll learn a little bit about that today, just in terms of kind of how he goes about his day-to-day kind of journey, the challenges that he sets for himself, kind of how he is constantly trying to pursue excellence, which we talk about, right? Chasing our best, we heard about earlier this year. And you will find that he finds ways to continually chase his best and do things that you honestly think are impossible, or things that maybe have never been done before. So, while I had an opportunity to coach Mark for a little while when I was at St. Thomas coaching, and he was playing there, I feel like roles are kind of reversed a little bit now, in that I have plenty of things that I can learn from Mark. So I highly encourage you guys to make sure you're open-minded, you're curious, you're vulnerable, because I think he's got plenty of good stuff to say, not just today, but even, if you give him a follow kind of later, just with the unique journey he's had and the unique journey he's on, and really only getting started on. So that's probably more than I wanted to say. Let's give it up to Mark.
Thanks. Yeah, just make sure to like and subscribe. That's for sure. Coach, thanks for that introduction. Guys, it's a pleasure to be here. A few of the things that I've done post-college running-wise to paint a little picture of what I'm going to talk about today is done 100-mile races. I've done last-person standing races where you don't know the end of the race until there's one person left. Ran from Springfield, Illinois back to St. Paul here, 500 miles in 9 days. But this past January was probably my most difficult challenge, my most difficult experience. 135 miles, foot race, sub-zero temperatures, and pulling all of my gear in a sled behind me. Just atrocious. But there was 40 miles into this race. I was wrecked. The snow was sloppy, it was uneven, wasn't entirely prepared. But worse than the pain and the course conditions was this realization that I was starting to believe that I couldn't do it. You see, I went into this race, I went into this experience with far too much arrogance, too much pride, too much I'm unstoppable mentality, that I don't need to respect this race. I thought I was going to set the course record type of mentality, type of arrogance. So what I failed to do was mentally prepare for how I would respond when those obstacles ultimately came up. They're inevitable. They're going to show up in anything that you do that's physical. And when it did, admittedly earlier than I expected at mile 40, it crushed me, both physically and spiritually. I was spiritually broken in that moment. It was like I was watching this image that I'd built up of myself, this belief about who I thought I was. It was like I was watching that version of myself just crumble. And that belief that I held so tightly onto, that I was unbreakable, it wasn't that true, at least not in that moment all by myself. But there is power in teamwork. There's power in having a partner somebody who's willing to sit in that storm with you to deliver truth to you at a moment that you need it most. Because you see, in that moment for me, I didn't have that voice in my head. I couldn't find that voice in my head to get myself out of that pity party, to get myself any word of encouragement to keep my momentum moving forward. So I had to borrow one. Picked up the phone, I called my fiance, said, Lucy, look, I'm not having fun out here. This is way harder than I anticipated. And quite frankly, I want comfort. I want to go back to the hotel. I want to take a warm bath. I want a beer, and I want to watch a movie with you. I want this to be done. I'm not having fun. And I'll never forget what she said. And this is the reason she's my fiance. She said, Mark, we've come this far. You can't quit. You're not allowed to. You cannot quit. We've come this far. You're staying in the race. That wasn't what I wanted to hear. And believe me, that wasn't easy for her to say either, because when someone you love, someone you care about is suffering, they're going through this painful experience, the last thing you want to say to them is, stay there. Okay? But she said it, and it wasn't because she wanted me to suffer more. It was because in that moment, she believed in me more than I believed in myself. And guys, that's love. Real love isn't support when it's easy, support when it's convenient, support because I get something out of it. No, real love is being the person that is willing to say the hard thing in the hard moment for the right reasons. Guys, that's what being the best teammate is too. It's being able to look at the guy to your right or to your left and saying what needs to be said. Not because it's easy to do so, but because it's necessary. So why? Why do we do that? Why should you guys be that type of person? Why should you be that type of teammate that's willing to speak up in that way? Well, because when we have those people in our lives, when we choose, when we make the decision, because it is a choice, when we make that decision to be that person, to be that teammate for other people in our lives, it is a way for us to show how much we matter to one another, how much we actually care about one another. Guys, that's really all it is. At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, the memories that you make in this room, on that field, in the classroom, they're not going to be looked at by a stat in the stat book or any win-loss from any particular game. It's going to be found by the people in this room making a commitment for a total collective buy-in towards this goal. And I know you guys have probably talked about it. I know you guys think about it. I know you believe in it, this goal of winning a state championship. Coach Kep wouldn't be your coach if you guys didn't have that as a goal. But I'm here to tell you and deliver you this message that that goal does not care how you feel. It doesn't care if you're tired, if you missed your test and you had to spend time getting ready for it in the next class. It doesn't care if you're frustrated, if you're upset, if you had a bad breakup, if you're going through a rough time. It does not care about any of that stuff. All that goal cares about is what you're willing to do today with your actions as a group, with the time that you have to make it happen. That's it. So the real question here, this is at the core of what I want to get to, is when you don't feel like hustling, when you feel like taking a play off or mentally checking out at practice or taking the easy way out, are you honest enough with yourself to pick up the phone or reach out to a friend and make that call and ask for help, to lean on a teammate? Maybe the harder question is, are you strong enough is who you are, your character right now, the things that you do, the actions that you provide the evidence for. Are you strong enough today to receive that call and lift your brother out of hell? That's the price of success. That's the price of doing something worthy and valuable and hard. It's not all about effort. It's not. It is a shared collective accountability. It's a shared collective buy-in that you guys have to each other to make that happen. It's about being that person, not just for you, but for everybody in this room. Guys, I'm rooting for you. I know you got a game tomorrow. And that's the last message that I'll leave with you guys is this is your season. Make the choice to end it how you want it to go. Thank you guys for letting me talk.
Love the message, and I think it, as you guys digest it, as you maybe decompress a little bit, think about the core values we've talked a little bit about already throughout the season, right? Connection, right? Finding ways to connect with each other, with coaches, with people outside of athletics, right? So you have kind of a network, right? You've got a foundation that's there, and also find ways where, and you guys have experienced it already, right? We've had overtime games, we've had double overtime games, we've had games that have went our way and not went our way, but at the end of all of that, we've got each other, right? And we have to find ways to continue to be cheerleaders no matter when times are going great and when times aren't, okay? And find ways to continue to be that cheerleader outside of lacrosse, for people outside of here too. Because while we may be experiencing things that may be hard on the field, maybe somebody's experiencing something a heck of a lot harder outside, right? Like Dowdle, 40 miles in, and they just want to quit, right? But together, we can keep playing, right? Life can be hard, and that's okay, right? And we got to embrace it. We got to do hard things, which gets to that one of our other values, right, of commitment, right, and kind of that pursuit of excellence, even in the face of adversity. So I think there's a lot that hopefully, that at least I picked up on, right, learning about this, listening to this, that hopefully you are as well. That isn't just about lacrosse, right, and what we did out there for 2 hours today, right, but it's about life, right, whether you're running a mile somewhere, doing something crazy, right, or just going about your day-to-day, all right, so thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Coach.
For being here. Appreciate it. We'll see many of you bright and early tomorrow, all right? Have a good night of sleep. We'll see ya.